Part 7. Construction Operations Building Information Exchange, or COBie. It was developed by Bill East in 2007 following his work with the US Army Corps of Engineers and National Institute of Building Sciences in the US. Quoting Bill, it's a specification of the minimum information set needed to operate, maintain and manage typical buildings. It was published as part of the National BIM Standard United States, or NBIMS for short. Its intention is that it's a defined information exchange over the contractual line between the delivery team and client for import into the client's software systems, like a CAFM system. Once this has happened, it's no longer needed. It's done its job because the data is now in the receiving system. It's not for in-use information exchanges. And if we go back to this scenario and swap the abstract terms for roles, this is what COBie is. The information exchange between client and the delivery team. As mentioned, COBie is an MVD, a mini IFC schema with its own set of rules and conventions, such as what assets are included and what properties. Like all MVDs, it can be customised, and COBie has a small set of properties which aren't predefined within the IFC schema, and additional client ones can be added if required. Zooming in, we can see what attributes and properties are in the overlap and which only exist within COBie. As you can see, a lot of the data is already included in the IFC schema, and the ones which sit outside can still be brought into the overall IFC schema as well. Because COBie is an MVD, it can be delivered using the standard IFC file formats. However, the unique thing about COBie as an MVD is it has a spreadsheet representation. No other MVD has this. And reasons for using the spreadsheet format is because if you think about it, this exchange involves the most people on the project, so it has to cater far and wide. And when it comes to data, spreadsheets are unfortunately still our lowest common denominator. You don't need expensive additional software, which those lower down the supply chain might not be able to afford. Most people will know how to use Excel, if only poorly, and once you move out of the project delivery space, most software, in particular most client software systems, don't accept IFC formats. Therefore, COBie is essentially a simplified version of IFC to be a compromise with where we are now. However, there are challenges in taking something like this and converting it into flat tables, especially when you have data about data. You almost need tables inside tables. This is why you have the tabs at the bottom and in some cases fields duplicated between the tabs. It's basically recreating the IFC schema in a spreadsheet structure, creating its own schema, therefore its own rules. This also means that the location of the data in the spreadsheet changes as it lives in a new place compared to its parent IFC schema. But this doesn't cause an issue because there is a full mapping between the two schemas, so IFC is always maintained and hidden in the background. Think of the IFC schema as being fully digital and the COBie schema a bit more analog because the relationships are more manual. So in a crude sense, the COBie spreadsheet representation just adds another layer of schema on top of IFC, which can fully talk to each other. Everything which can be done in COBie spreadsheet schema can also be done in the IFC-based schema. So that's the basics, but what's BS 1192 Part 4 all about? Through government consultation, the UK took COBie, adopted it and created a British standard for it. We took the NBIMS US COBie and pushed it to do more by adding more potential purposes like health and safety and carbon impacts, applying it to infrastructure and geographical assets, specifying all systems regardless if the individual asset is listed, and specifying additional fields if required. BS 1192 Part 4 is heading towards digitising as much handover information as possible. So in summary, COBie is a mini IFC schema or MVD for the purpose of asset data over the contractual client line, mainly for handover, but throughout delivery if required. It's also not intended for in-use exchanges. It can be exchanged using IFC formats like STEP. However, it can also be exchanged via spreadsheet formats, and to do this it has its own schema which is fully compatible with IFC. COBie is a bit like a simplified entry into the world of SCHEMA.